thanks for inviting me to this session. Very timely and relevant. Uh, and just wanted to add a point about the overall topic before coming to the leadership hiring. That historically, it has been found that after any great crisis or like economic depression, which happened in US in the 1920s after the World War, or even after the World War, after that is the best time to be a entrepreneur. Many people, though economy is booming, is the best time. No, actually, when after the depression is when most of the major, even some of the top companies in the world, they always started just during the depression or after the depression. So it's a good time to start if you have not thought about it. Now, coming to the leadership hiring, uh, at the end of it, leadership itself is under a lot of cloud as well as uncertainty as well as opportunities. Earlier, when you joined a company, the big bosses, the CEO, the CFOs, the head of HR, they were the leaders. In the new world, everybody can be a leader. And that's the expectation. Some of the top global companies in the world are doing that. So what they're trying to inculcate the mindset in their employees is don't think yourself as an employee, but also think yourself as a co-founder, literally. Obviously, it's easy to say and hard to implement. The founder, Sergey Brin or Larry Page, the co-founders of Google, obviously they will have higher equity because they took the risk and they put everything on the line. Or any company, be it Infosys, Cognizant, TCS, any big company you can think of. The people who put their own money and risk or left their job, a well-paying job, to start something. So obviously they will have, it's like their baby. So obviously they will have a higher equity and higher control. But some of the difference between some of the great companies which have succeeded and many which have not succeeded, even though they were great to start with, now they are, is that they've been able to give that co-founder type of feeling as well as the leverage to the employees. So you're not just an employee, but the company is yours. And one very famous example from India is Infosys was one of the first software companies in India, even though we had other older companies like TCS was much older. They gave equity to all the most of the initial employees. Initial, let's say, I don't know exact number, let's say initial 1,000 plus employees, they all became millionaires when Infosys went public. Why? Because they all had equity. So that changed the whole equations. The moment you stop treating your employees as employees and treat them as like the owners of the company, co-founders of the company, not everybody will have the same equity. Some might just have a small nominal amount. But the moment you start treating your employees as the owners of the company, then things change. Because then the success of company is my success, failure of company is my failure, and everybody behaving like a co-founder. And that's, I think, the secret sauce which many great companies, successful companies have been able to differentiate. I hope,
Thank you.
and I hope I
Yes.
answered your question, Gaurav. Yeah. I always say these things like a broken record: co-create, collaborate, the co-founders. So that word "co" is the key word. And always say we is greater than me. So many often entrepreneurs are very, very self-centric, selfish people sometimes. Most entrepreneurs also have a huge ego. But the ones which have really succeeded, the only difference between them and those who have not is they have thought about we. How can we as a team work together? And as you rightly say, co-founders. So together we can do much more than what we can do alone. There is some quotation, I'm forgetting the exact quotation, that if you want to go fast, then go alone. But if you want to go longer, go further, then you have to go together. And that's the secret many entrepreneurs have discovered. If you think of any major company, I mean, I'll give some famous companies everybody knows. So everybody knows about Steve Jobs. But Steve Jobs had a Steve Wozniak, and that's why we had Apple. Otherwise, there was no Apple. Similarly, Microsoft, Bill Gates, he started. But Microsoft also had Paul Allen, and that's why we have Microsoft. So co-founders has one big beautiful thing. They complement each other. So you might be a very high risk taker, but then your other co-founder is probably a very calculative on risk, and very more careful about taking financial decisions. Like I will give a personal example. So every time I run more non-profit than for profits. Anytime I'm doing something like a non-profit, I get my friend as more like a brother to me, Santosh Pandeji. He's in Europe. And every time I have to do something, I always first get him in the loop, because I'm like the reckless guy. I will do whatever I think needs to be done without a lot of thought into it. But he's a chartered accountant, work with Atul in Europe. And Santosh Pandeji will bring the financial controllership, discipline, risk management type of things in everything else. So that complementarity is the key thing. So co-founder have to, one person has great ideas, the other person has maybe great execution skill, and maybe the third person has a good ability to arrange finance or manage finances, and the other person is might be good at HR. Like we have leaders in the team. So you have to think about the complementarity very much, because that what makes you risk proof, and the same time also you will be able to survive against the vagaries of the economy. So economies might go up and down, but if you have a good team, then you will stick together. That's all I want to share.